Sawadee krab, and welcome to Cineasia 2020. I'm Gerald Dibbayawan, and I'm honoured to be delivering this year's keynote address. Traditionally, the address has been delivered as a roundup of the Asian cinema scene over the past year and an analysis of developing industry trends. Well, this year's roundup can be summed up in one word: devastation. And the word which best describes the developing trends is uncertainty. Indeed, devastation and uncertainty are the two things confronting the cinema business as we speak today. Has the devastation dealt us an existential body blow? And can we chart a course through the uncertainty to live to play another day? So rather than recapping how many cinemas have been closed, the mountain of box office revenue which has disappeared, and the hordes of our colleagues who have become unemployed, I decided that instead of dwelling on the obvious negativity, why not look for signs of optimism and find from where our industry leaders draw hope for a brighter future? Optimism isn't just about blind faith, unfettered positivity, or looking through rose-tinted glasses. Optimism comes firstly from recognizing the challenges we face, drawing on our resourcefulness, and ultimately finding solutions to map our new future. With that in mind, I asked some industry leaders here in Asia two simple questions. Firstly, why will cinemas survive? And secondly, how will cinemas thrive in a post-COVID world? And what I heard from these battle-hardened warriors may surprise you. To some, these questions triggered deeper thinking about our medium than ever before. They had to go beyond the accepted paradigm of most affordable entertainment, popcorn and soda, which for all of us frames our daily lives of running cinema companies. For some, 2020 is merely a speed bump, and whether a crystal clear vision or simply bravado guides their future actions, there is a firm belief that cinema will return to what it was before this wretched pandemic hit the world. Many who hold this belief point to the swift recovery of China, which has allowed its cinemas to reopen with the virus seemingly under control, in turn winning back consumer confidence in the safety of cinema and a steady supply of decent local content. For others, there's acknowledgement that COVID has dealt our industry at least some temporary setbacks, whilst accelerating what was before an evolution into what many consider a revolution in studio-exhibitor relationships. For this camp, the near future will be different even to the recent past, and flexibility, innovation, and resilience in a new set of commercial paradigms are what will deliver a viable and compelling business model. But for all of us, the answers to these two questions are what will determine the fate of the industry and that of each cinema company grappling with the challenges of COVID. So why will cinemas survive? Well, according to leading Asian industry stalwarts, there are a few factors which have underpinned the success of cinema and will continue to guarantee its future success. Moviegoing remains one of the most affordable forms of entertainment and escapism, although some agree this is under threat with the influx of so many OTT platforms to compete with. Some observe that the streaming landscape is becoming fragmented and expensive for consumers to get all the content they want, while others question the sustainability of subscription pricing against skyrocketing content costs. Many believe that after being cooped up at home for so long, people will want to leave their OTT-equipped lounge rooms and hit the theatres, surely. Others are confident that there's no better way to see a movie in its full glory than on a big screen with state-of-the-art sound, in a darkened room with no distractions, in total immersion. Some point out that many important filmmakers still make films to be seen in a cinema, and one even pointed to the egos of stars and actors who yearn to see themselves on the big screen as reasons for cinemas to survive. But everyone I spoke to agreed that the main reason cinema has been and will remain an important part of the entertainment landscape is that it offers a communal experience which serves to satisfy our fundamental need for connection as human beings. Ever since the discovery of fire, mankind has embraced storytelling as a fundamental part of the human condition. Through the ages, many forms of communal storytelling have satisfied our psychological need of relatedness. Every civilization has its own stories, which are shared to entertain, educate, instill values, and preserve and develop culture. Movies, a sophisticated form of storytelling, can serve as a window into our past. They also work as an expression of our present, giving us context of time and place. And movies, in their boundless escapism, can give us hope for the future. In a social or communal setting such as cinema, movies help us understand ourselves, understand each other, and understand the world that we live in. As such, in the eyes of our experts, cinemas aren't going away anytime soon. This leads us on to the question of how will cinemas thrive in a post-COVID world? Of course, there's the obvious reasons of pent-up demand and the great blockbuster backlog piling up in Hollywood. But they're near-term reasons which do not guarantee the future. To truly understand that question of how, our leaders think it is important to understand who the audience will be in a post-COVID world. To do that, take a short 125-year walk down memory lane and look at the history of cinema going to understand what has driven people to go to the cinemas historically. December the 28th, 1895 is generally considered the birth date of commercial cinema, when the Lumiere brothers screened 10 short films to the first ever paying audience. But it wasn't until 1906 when The Story of the Kelly Gang, the first ever feature-length film, was screened in Melbourne, Australia, that movies started to gain a stronghold in modern society. Our forefathers watched all manner of content in a cinema. Feature films, documentaries, public service announcements, propaganda, and even the news gave the public many reasons to go to the cinema. Over the years, a distillation process has taken place to gradually whittle down the list of reasons to come to the cinema. From the invention of television, video, DVDs, piracy, modern home theatres, and now OTT and streaming, cinema has had to endure numerous existential threats. So I posit the view that nowadays there remains three constituents who still come to the cinema. Firstly, people who want the content but can't get it anywhere else. This constituent group is maintained and supported by the windowing framework and fueled by the fear of missing out or FOMO. Secondly, people who genuinely appreciate cinema as an art form and see the cinematic experience as being superior to any other form of viewing. And finally, the aforementioned cohort who yearn for connection through a communal experience which they can't get anywhere else. And that, honestly, is all of us. Those with families, friends, and work colleagues. Those out on a first date, an anniversary, or a celebration with loved ones. The communal storytelling experience remains central to our need for relatedness. If the secret to our future success is in understanding our audience, those whom I spoke to see the importance in the following. Firstly, reducing reliance on Hollywood and promoting the importance of local content as we see happening in China. Flexibility in content supply arrangements, film hire terms, and dare we say it, the theatrical window needs to be addressed. Some see finding alternative content, which could include the usual retinue of sports, events, concerts, and ironically a throwback to short-form content such as landmark TV shows, as a way forward. One observation from a distributor was that advertising needs to be reined in and fewer friction points put in the way of the audience. I'm sure my exhibitor colleagues will have a view on this, but it's an observation worth considering. Many agreed that audience engagements need to be enhanced through promotions, more exciting pre-shows, and post-viewing experiences. And I'm sure that this area of cinema operations will garner close attention moving forward. And resoundingly, all agreed that showmanship is sorely needed in the cinema experience, as, if we are to survive and thrive, we cannot see ourselves as a utilitarian commodity, but a value proposition to be desired. To that end, many agree that cinemas of the future will have to right size in order to survive and thrive. What right size looks like remains to be seen. So it looks like cinemas do have a future, at least in the eyes of our industry leaders. What that future looks like, no one really knows for now. And when exactly that future will arrive remains a mystery for all of us as the pandemic continues to rage around the world. For now, exhibitors all over Asia do their best to conserve cash, try and maintain strained relationships with landlords, suppliers and distributors, and pray for consumer confidence in cinemas to return so that content will flow once more. Barack Obama was quoted as saying that the empathy deficit is the most pressing problem we face today. Maybe the connection forged through the communal experience of cinema going can be the antidote to that problem. In closing, the show must go on. However long you think this pandemic will last, whenever your path to recovery is achieved, and whatever you believe content creators will do with their films, we all have to have faith that movies are a canvas for human connection. They make us laugh, they make us cry, they dare us to dream. And cinemas make the world a better place. Thank you. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce our first studio presenter today. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, someone who's been through his fair share of commercial upheavals and has shown himself to be a true friend of exhibitors all around the world. He and Warner Brothers really stepped up when we needed them and released Tenet globally during the COVID pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Andrew Cripps.